Hey folks, Jerry here with another profound edition of prophecy of end times and the Great Tribulation period. How you doing this afternoon, everybody? What'd you think about what I showed you the other evening, our Mrs. K? Wasn't that something else? Sure was about the handmaiden's tale, wasn't it? Now, we're going to have a little bit further discussion about the Great Tribulation period here, and maybe answer a few questions that you may have that I might be able to answer for you. And you may say, Jerry, why is it that these pharaohs, these descendants of Cain, why is it that they own all of these businesses and they have us as slaves, and they're controlling the shots in politics, in the media, in entertainment and sports? If they've got it all made like that, why would they have it all just come to an end by getting rid of us? Well, it ain't only just about technology, folks. There's something else that's going on too that many don't understand. And it's the concept of something that Paul talked about quite a bit in his letters to the churches. It's the lifting of the veil, folks. And actually, what has happened is when this fifth and final messianic age came in here at the first of the year, which is, by the way, what it has happened. The age of Aquarius is not here, folks. I keep hearing that, and it's a stupid concept. It is not that. It's the messianic age has came in. The Aquarius has been here. Okay? No Aquarius. If Aquarius was what was coming in, then why is it that those over in Israel are looking for Messiah right now? It would be another 2,136 years before Messiah arrived if it was the age of Aquarius, okay? But it's not. That's not what's coming in, folks. It's the Messianic age, okay? The time of the Gentile is over with. That's what's going on, okay? So now, you're going to ask, why would they want all that to come up, to end and just get rid of us? Well, what it is, folks, it's a concept that's very profound, that it's not that they are dictating that or choosing that. What is happening is, folks, is God is lifting the veil on this whole thing, on this whole deception, because right now, what is going on, guys? There is a huge Kabbalah spell that's over top of this whole thing here on earth. And it's so profound, it's such a strong spell, that it's actually so strong that it has created what you might call the Great Deception. Very, very, very strong and powerful spell, Kabbalistic spell, folks. It's caused life to actually be, I guess what you might call the Matrix spell. But now God is lifting the veils. And these veils being lifted all starts with the children of Magdalene and those who are really, really strong in faith with Him. And that is where I want me and my subscribers to be, guys. That's where we need to be. We need to be at the forefront. We need to be the spearhead of the arrow, folks. We need to be the pioneers of what is going on and be the first ones to discover this whole thing. That's good coffee, by the way. What's going to happen is this. These pharaohs are being forced to mark us like cattle. They're being forced to get rid of a lot of us, and the ones that are left to mark us. And the reason why is that when this veil lifts up, people are going to see just how badly they've been deceived, how badly they've been lied to. Many are going to look at their life and they're going to even wonder, has my whole life been a lie? That's how profound this whole thing is, folks. And so what's going to happen is once this veil lifts up and people see just how badly the aristocracy has deceived the common people through this Kabbalistic spell, they will turn on them like they did in the days of old and chase them down the road and pull the hair out of their heads just like they did hundreds of years ago, folks. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Because you see, by the time this whole thing happens, what's going to happen is, by the time this whole tribulation period gets in full swing, the people who are left here upon this earth are going to fully realize the truth. And that truth is, we've never been free. We've always been under the hand of the aristocracy. You're going to realize this whole concept of the United States and patriotism and the land of the free and the home of the brave and all this and all that. You're going to find out it's been nothing but part of a big mind control spell, folks. That the aristocracy has ruled this thing the entire time, and there never has been any such thing as democracy and patriotism. It's been the Queen of England that has ruled this the entire time. And it always has been, folks. The whole entire idea of having human rights is nothing but an illusion in this country. It always has been an illusion. Well, look at my situation down in Florida, folks. Just for the sake of an experiment, I have tried to find someone to sue the municipality down there, for doing what they done to me. You can't find anybody to do it. They're all part of the lodge, folks. Okay? They're not going to do it. You can't find anybody. Not that I would do it, I just did it for a social experiment because I knew what the outcome of it was going to be. You can't find anybody to sue them. Why? Because the whole idea that I've got some kind of rights that's been infringed on, it's nothing but a big illusion. Now, I want to start doing a few things a little bit different from here on out, guys. I'm kind of finding out that people likes, instead of me showing these images and stuff on video and so forth, I'm kind of finding out that people likes kind of like story time things, like what we're doing this afternoon. So that's kind of going to be what I do with my videos from here on out, for a little while anyway. Is we're going to talk about end times and all that, and go from there. Another thing that I want to talk to you guys about this afternoon, I think that it's not any big secret, or it's not any big thing that surprises you guys, especially my audience, that Joe Biden has been put in to politics here. He's been put in as president. He actually was not elected. And I think that many of you would agree with me on that, okay? I just don't think he's been elected, folks. I've kind of analyzed good old Bo Jiden. That's what I'm going to call him from here on out for the sake of YouTube and the algorithms. Good old Bo Jiden. Kind of analyzed him and the whole thing about the spamdemic. And I've come to a profound conclusion that many of you may accept it, but then again you might think that it's a little bit out there, but I'm going to go on ahead and tell you. I don't believe that Joe Biden is a real human being, folks. I think that Joe Biden is some type of demonic entity of some kind that is, he's been masked over by a human body with skin over top of it. What I really believe, I don't believe that Joe Biden is a real human being. How many times have you seen this man's eyes turn black, guys? How many weird things have you saw about Joe Biden? And one day, actually, I will go on ahead and I'll show you guys a picture that I caught of him on TV. And he was in the corner of the television when somebody else was speaking during a Lincoln memorial event. And folks, something's just not right. And that whole thing, it's going to lift, the veil's going to lift up on that too. That's what the whole thing about the concept of the alien deception that's coming. What it is, this whole veil, when it completely lifts up, these demons are not going to have anywhere to hide anymore, folks, and there's got to be a reason for them being here. So they're going to be aliens that deceives and comes to save the whole world. That's what it's going to come. That's what it's going to be passed off as. When in reality, they have no place left to hide. They're going to be like the aristocracy. The aristocracy is not going to have any place left to hide with all their lives anymore. It's all coming out. You remember what Jesus said in the Gospels, don't you, folks? For nothing that is hidden will not be shown, and everything is going to come out into the light and be made known. What is whispered inside the house shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. See, that was Jesus talking about the lifting of the veil here in these last days. That's what Jesus was talking about. When everything in the shadows is going to be made manifest, when all the whispers inside the house is going to be proclaimed upon the housetops, there's not going to be anything hidden anymore, folks. And he was talking about this concept of the lifting of the veil. And it's already taken place. So you see, this whole thing about the Great Tribulation period and the Pharaohs getting rid of the common people, this is not necessarily a concept that they've decided to do. They're being forced into this by God. God is forcing them to do this. Because they either do it, or they get chased down the road and killed. Or worse. Anything that happened in the French Revolution, any of that stuff that took place back in the olden days, it's going to take place again, folks, if the common people finds out just how bad that these lizards has deceived them. It's going to be bad again. And this whole thing about Joe Biden, guys, he's not a real human being. And I'm going to tell you something. It's like this whole thing about Trump, too. All Trump was, folks, was a golden calf for many people. Trump is part of the same Ashkenazi bloodline as Biden is. It's all the same blood lineage of people, folks, that's running this country. It's all the same blood lineage of people that's running this world, and it always has been. Okay? This whole thing about democracy, you need to see my video about Jacques Niemollet, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templars. Niemollet and democracy. You can do it, too, boy. You need to see that video I've got. But it's always been the aristocracy, folks. It's never been anything but that. And this New World Order that they have put the United States government under about this whole illusion that people are calling the shots, this has been nothing but a social experiment. It's been a social experiment for the aristocracy just to see what the common people would do if they were really left to the illusion of running a country, but then again they really weren't, number one. And another thing this country has been, it's been a Zionist war machine to basically get rid of anybody that doesn't have the Federal Reserve banknote. All these countries they've been made a list of, like Libya and Iran and Iraq and Syria and everybody that we have attacked over the last 15 years, that's a terrorist and an enemy to the state. What it is, folks, they've resisted getting this one world order banking system of the Federal Reserve note, and that's what they've been deemed and condemned to be. They're terrorists and we got to get rid of them. Anybody that didn't have the Federal Reserve Bank note will match up perfectly to everybody that's been an enemy and a terrorist to the United States of America. It's the truth, folks. We talking about the Walmart concentration camp thing. Well, it's all true, guys. If you get chased into the woods and they find you with these RFID chips they're putting in everything, like the Ark of the Oz and all that stuff, they're either going to kill you right there or they're going to take you to the concentration camp at Walmart. And they couldn't build the concentration camps, folks, like they did in Europe. Somebody would have noticed it. So what they've done is they've came in here and they put stores all across the United States. And they set up a facility that's perfect to accommodate a concentration camp. And then once they've established all of them and sold goods to just a common group of people, now they're going back in behind it and making concentration camps out of it. It's the Ashkenazis are doing it. The same bunch that done it back in World War II, folks. It's the Swiss of Switzerland that's doing it. They're the one who financed the little twitchy man in Germany, okay? He was no financial miracle. The Ashkenazis right there named their regime the Nazis. And I'll tell you real quick why that happened, okay? Here's basically what happened. It was probably a big disturbance one morning. Lord Rothschild, your cousins, the Tsars, have been murdered in Russia. Oh my word. Gather together the council immediately. And so they all got together when the Tsars were beheaded, because that was the cousins to all the aristocracy in Switzerland and England and all that. And they decided that they better make a buffer zone between them and the communist regime that existed in Russia, because these aristocratic people who claimed to be jaywalkers really weren't jaywalkers. And they were pharaohs, but they were claiming to be that. And they had no idea who these people were and where they came from. Lenin and Trotsky. It was a well-planned coup of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and it scared the aristocracy to death in Switzerland and England. And so they had to create a buffer zone in Germany, thus naming their regime after their name, the Ashkenazis. They named them the Nazis. So they financed the little twitchy man. Okay? So they're the ones who put the concentration camps up. Same people that's doing it in the world that we live in today. It's the same group of people doing it again. And guess what? Biden is involved in it. Trump is involved in it. Your whole entire government, folks, it's always been infiltrated, but it's really been infiltrated here lately. And they're in all key positions to do everything that they need to do for this one world government coming in. Really, what's criminal about the whole thing is they were the ones who financed the concentration camps in Europe, and then after that, the Earl of Balfour ended up giving the Balfour Agreement to Lord Rothschild, which was the one that financed the concentration camps, and then he come up and said, hey everybody, this is our state of Israel that we've got right here, and we was granted this because we suffered through the war. They were the ones financed the war, folks. They wasn't the ones that suffered the concentration camps. They were the ones that caused it. It's criminal what's went on. And as far as England is concerned and Windsor Palace, you're like, oh, now, Jerry, what about that whole thing with Winston Churchill? Well, Churchill's from Blenheim Palace. He's part of the aristocracy, and they actually had to poison the leader there before that they could put him in place. I'll think of his name here in a few minutes. But if you noticed, they pounded the Luftwaffe. They pounded England to the ground, okay? And there wasn't even one bomb even hit that castle. Why? Because they're all related, folks. If Hitler really hated the jaywalkers as bad as what he says he did, why didn't he go next door and attack the main ones that was running Switzerland? They're the ones that proclaims to be the jaywalkers more than anybody, running the banks in the federal system over there, and yet he never touched them, did he? You know why? That was his bosses. That's why. That's the ones that financed him. It's criminal what's going on. It really is, folks. The lies that has been told throughout the years with history is monumental. And in this whole entire thing about Hitler going to Africa or South America to hide out, he didn't do that. Matter of fact, when D-Day was going on and he was asleep in the chair, remember that? Why, he didn't have to go nowhere in a big hurry. He knew when the time come, all he was going to have to do is get into a plane and go 40 minutes, about 100 and some miles west, right over to his eagle's nest in Switzerland, where that he retired. Hitler died in Switzerland, folks, and was buried there, okay? He made his retirement home right there in the Alps at the eagle's nest. Just look it up on the internet, the eagle's nest. It'll show you his big retirement home he had in Switzerland. He didn't go 2,000 miles away to South America to hide deep in the jungles nowhere. He went right over to Switzerland, right over where the bosses were. That's where he went. And so, these are the same group of people that has run these iron-fisted governments for years, and now it's always been the aristocracy, and now they're going to create the Great Tribulation period, folks. And this whole thing about the Walmart concentration camps, it's all true. It really is. Every time that they say that there's some type of conspiracy theory out there of some kind, it always ends up panning out that it's real, it's true. And so it is what it is. You know, oddly enough, these concentration camps, these Walmarts, the FEMA Act is what's doing that. And oddly enough, you know, it's George Bush Jr. that did all that. And folks, George Bush Jr. is Aleister Crowley's grandson. And that whole skull and bones thing, you got that right. It's the skull and bones that he was part of, all right. It's the Gestapo from Nazi Germany. Same group of people, folks, that did it over there is doing it here. It's the same group of people. It's criminal, man. When they tell you that the skull and bones from Yale University is where him and his dad belonged, and John Kerry and all that, they literally belong to that association. And it's the same group of people that was the Gestapo in World War II. Now, I have a story that I can tell you about why the jaywalkers were actually being eliminated over in Nazi Germany. I may do that one day. I've got that one figured out. But it's the same group of people, folks. Same identical group of people doing all this. And so, thank you for watching my video. I mean, we'll talk more about it. But these great deceptions, folks, they're all coming out in the woodwork. They are being forced to do what they're doing. Because if they weren't forced to do it, they probably wouldn't do it because they do have it made the way things are, because after all, they run everything in this country and everything in the world. But the veil is lifting. And it's not, this charade is over with. God is tearing the veils down, folks. And they have to hurry up and mark the common people and get rid of who they can get rid of. Because when the time comes, all of the darkness is going to come into the light and be made known. Thank you for watching my video. We'll see more on it. And by the way, you like my sleeper in my truck? It's comfortable, folks, and I'm leading a comfortable life for the time being. So we'll see how long that it lasts. And it may last, it may not. Who knows? With the way things are in this world now. Plus, if you're in the know like I am, you're a big target anyway. So, all right. We'll see you next time.